precision. His joy is to hear you scream. Harlem is the true love of his life. Party crashers, Christmas slashers, crazed maniacs caressing their knife. Teacher's disaster, dark night podcaster. We welcome a true nightmare maker. Our guest tonight is sure to thrill ya. You will find his films are breathtakers. Shine that spotlight on Troy Escamilla.
Hello and welcome to Attack of the Spotlight. If you haven't heard, In the Spotlight is now Attack of the Spotlight because there's too many damn in the spotlight. So we took one name and that's how we're going to be. And today we have a special guest that John is going to tell us all about.
Why, thank you, Kyle, for that wonderful introduction. Today with us, we have independent film director Troy Escamilla. He's got 4 films under his belt that he has written, directed, produced. He is also a podcaster of the podcast Dark Night of the Podcast, which is, if you get a chance to watch it, it is an amazing little podcast where they talk nothing but horror movies. And if I'm not mistaken, Troy, aren't you one of the folks involved with a film festival in Texas?
Yes, I am the actual film festival director of the Houston Horror Film Festival in Houston. So I'm the one. Yeah, I'm the one in charge of selecting the films and everything that involves the films over the course of the weekend is all me. And obviously I have people that work with me, but that's what I do.
So you are one busy sumbitch.
You can say that, but hey, I love you. That's what I'm saying. I love your guys' enthusiasm because I was like, I got home from work and I'm like, I just want to lay down. But I love the enthusiasm. I love the guy that you brought the show back, and I love that you're having me on.
Yeah, no, this is great. We're fans. Most likely, people may be tuning from your show over to ours because you're a little bit more established. So chances are there's nothing new for our viewers. But tell us how long you've been doing the podcast and your partner in the whole situation there.
Yeah, you know what? The podcast was something I feel like so many people started podcasts in 2020 during COVID. Like, it's like, oh, we're sitting around home. There's nothing else for us to do. And I had always had an idea of a podcast in the back of my mind. So yeah, I talked to my co-host, Roger Connors, who's also an independent filmmaker, actor, producer. He does it all as well. And I asked him, hey, would you be interested in hopping on, Zoom every week or every 2 weeks and just discussing a different horror film? It's something I've been wanting to do. He agreed, and we did it. And here we are. It's 2026, five and a half years into it, almost 200 episodes, and we have no end in sight. Like, we both love doing it. It's an outlet for us to be able to just kind of forget about everything else going on in our lives for a couple hours a week and just talk about some of the worst and best horror films out there. So.
What I love about the podcast is that what they do is they will take a movie each episode and they will break it down. It's like you're watching the movie along with them, and they're talking about the movie as they're watching it. You're not watching it, but that's how it feels.
Yeah,
it brings back so many memories of because you guys have a lot of the same tastes as me. That's beautiful.
And we try to pick. When we started it, we're like, my goal was to we're not going to cover films that every other podcast has covered. We really like to pull in obscure stuff that you can't find other podcasts that have covered. I guarantee you, we're the only podcast to cover the really obscure slasher film from the 80s called Epitaph. Tomorrow we're covering Candy Striper, so something early from the early 2000s. So we really try to cover titles that don't get a lot of talked about a lot. So that's one of the fun things I think we do, and a lot of our listeners really appreciate that. A lot of other listeners tell us, "Oh my God, we've discovered this movie because of you guys," and I love to hear that. That's a lot of fun.
And the two of you have a film that you worked on together that's coming out very soon. It's on the festival circuit.
Well, we have 2 films we worked on together. I met Roger over social media probably in about 2015. And it just started out as just kind of a general social media friendship, liking each other's posts. And then my second film, Mrs. Claus, it was stirring at the time, got accepted into a festival in Cleveland. And I went to Cleveland in 2017 or 2018, and I knew Roger lived there. So I hit him up and we met, hung out over the course of the weekend. And I knew he was a phenomenal indie actor, and I had a script that I was working on that I knew was going to be my next film called Teacher Shortage.
Yes.
And yeah, and I had a role that I thought he would be perfect for, and had him read for it, and if you've seen the film, he fucking nails it. And so yeah, that was our first film, and Hollow Lake is my newest film that he is also in, and that is, yes, it's been a long time in the making, but it's finally going to be seen publicly for the first time next month. And yes, Roger is a part of it. It's a very small ensemble cast. There's like 6 cast members total. It's very intimate, and Roger is part of it. And again, he knocks it out of the park. I can't wait for people to see what he does in the film.
And he's definitely promoting it because John and I had helped fund Meet. And that's actually what my first visit to the film festival was, to see Meet. So I was there for that. And but I think he probably talks as much about Hollow Lake as he does Meet on his own thing. So he really is promoting you and backing you as much as possible. So I think the camaraderie that the two of you have is fantastic.
And that's great. Yeah, I mean, Roger has not only become like a podcast partner, but he is really a dear friend. I mean, me and him, there's not a day that goes by that we don't talk, whether it's over Messenger. I mean, I share a lot of personal things with Roger going on in my life. He's become a dear, dear friend. And yeah, and Meet, I mean, gosh, if you saw Meet, we have to give Roger, huge props for Meet. I mean, that movie is, for an indie film, I've told him from day one, the marketing that he has been able to do for me is beyond anything I've seen at the indie level. I mean, and that's part of Roger's forte is marketing and social media. He's a master at it, and that's why I mean, he does all of the stuff, marketing and social media stuff for the podcast. He actually runs the Hollow Lake Instagram account for me, and I just love the fact that he loves the project so much, Hollow Lake, that he enthusiastically does promote it. And it's great when your actors do that. Because
Definitely.
Because some of them don't.
They're on to the next best thing, and yeah, they've left you in the dust.
Yeah.
So what film festival is Hollow Lake starting off at? Is it a Canada Film Festival?
It is. It is. It's the Toronto Indie Horror Film Festival, which, you know what, it's been around for like 15 years because I submitted all of my films to it. I look back and I submitted Party Night, Teacher Shortage, Mrs. Claus. They declined them all. So I wasn't really expecting to get in with Hollow Lake, because one of the things that is really interesting about the Toronto Indie Horror Film Festival from a filmmaker perspective is that they don't charge a fee to submit a film. So I guarantee in my mind, I was like, they have to be getting like thousands, hundreds of submissions.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll submit it because it's free. Why not? And lo and behold, they reached out and said they really loved the film and they want it to be part of the festival. And another really cool thing is that Meet also got accepted, and we're playing on the same night, like Hollow Lake plays.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah,
that's great.
And then Meet plays after it. But this will be, as far as I know now, because this will be the first, like the premiere. This will be the first time anybody outside of me and a few other people that have worked on the film have seen it.
Wow. What would you say is more difficult, directing a film or trying to organize a film festival with all those moving pieces in both?
Ooh. You know what? The film festival thing. In fact, I was just working on it today. I mean, that it is. I don't think people realize, and I get questions all the time about, oh, can I play my film? Or, oh, you should play Hollow Lake at the Houston Horror Film Festival. Or, oh, I don't think they realize the process. Like, it is a year. It's a commitment, and every day I'm doing something with the festival because we have grown the Houston Horror Film Festival has grown tremendously, and that has 99.999% to do with Tony Rodriguez, who I started the festival with. We kind of branched off, and he takes care of the actual convention parts of the event, like booking the guests and everything. And then we have Scott Fontenot, who handles all the vendors, and then I do the actual film festival. And I really pride myself on the fact that I've been to many conventions where they have a film festival, but it's like shoved away in a corner, and there's like four
Yes.
people in it. We are packed. We are packed constantly. Like our film screenings are packed. And it's because I take time to curate these films and select the films that I know our audience, that I know will play well. So to answer your question, I mean, every day right now we have over 300 films submitted. And I do watch them all. So that's a chore because
Wow. Yeah.
I watch them all.
And a lot of them are probably subpar. Would it be?
I will. Yeah, I mean, hey, anybody that made a film, I'm gonna give them credit, but there's a certain quality, threshold that I think you have to meet in order for your film to screen publicly. Like I said, right now we have like 303 films, and we still have like 3 months left of the submission period. Last year, I could only select 65 films, so we have to cut a bunch of them. So unfortunately, there's a lot of things we look for. I have to tell myself that, running a film festival myself, I can't really take rejections from film festivals personally, because I know there's a lot more to it than just, oh, this film is terrible, we're not playing it. I've had to reject films that I absolutely loved just because time constraints, or, all kinds of little wheels and things that people don't consider. But yeah, I mean, the whole film festival circuit, and it's going to sound ironic for me to say it, from a filmmaker perspective, I'm seeing less and less value in it. And I know I shouldn't say that because I run a film festival, but I have my reasons for saying so.
But aren't they also at the same time becoming more popular?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because here's my thing. And I had an experience with the film festival with Hollow Lake, and it really kind of left a really sour taste in my mouth. I'm not going to call out the festival or anything, but
I heard this.
Yeah. Tell everybody. Yeah.
But I think that a lot of these festivals kind of lost sight of why a film festival should exist in the first place, and that is to champion true independent film, right? Some of them have gotten a little too big, and when you get a little too big, you do get like, more popular people, or more, people with more backing behind them to start submitting to your festival. And I guess it's going to be really appealing if you get someone like Tina Romero, George Romero's daughter, to submit to your festival. Hey, that's amazing. That's going to give our festival a lot of attention. So let's accept it. Someone like Tina Romero really doesn't need an independent film festival to get attention. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
I really try to keep in mind that, my goal with like the Houston Horror Film Festival as an independent filmmaker myself was to champion like true independent film. Hollow Lake is a little $15,000 movie. That's the budget for Hollow Lake. Okay. And some of these films that are getting submitted to festivals, including the Houston Horror Film Festival, have $4 or $5 million budgets. So how do you compete with that? I get that story and everything. They always say, oh, well, you don't need a lot of money to tell a great story, which is 100% true. But again, when you're selecting films, you have to have some sort of criteria, and audio on a $15,000 film is not going to sound as great as it does on a $1 million film. Does that make sense? So you have to have these little things that you use to select your films. But yeah. So I really think that Hollow Lake, if I made another film, I really don't think I would actually submit it to any festivals.
Really?
Yeah. Because let's be honest, folks. Let's be honest. I will even say this. Nobody at the end of the day gives a shit that your film got accepted to the Houston Horror Film Festival or the, Podunk County Film Festival. There's only maybe 5 film festivals out there that really are a big deal if your film gets accepted to it. I'm not delusional. Okay.
Yeah, no, I get that, but it seems like just from a Tubi standpoint. If I
Yes.
go on to Tubi to watch a horror movie, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of them. And where I'll agree with you, whether or not it was in a film festival, actually, a lot of regular films, if I see that was in a film festival, this one Palme d'Or, and I'm like, oh, that's probably going to be boring. So,
Yeah.
but it seems like the film festival at the same time can help get at least promotion and marketing for it. So if they don't see it there, they say, well, hopefully I can see it on Tubi or maybe get a disc of it. I would have never seen, what's it called, Macanadilla in my life had it not been for the fact that it was before Meat. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess. And I thought it was a Spanish movie. I thought it was Macanadilla. And I'm like, I'm not even going to know what the words are. And we sat there. I'm like, oh my God, this is such a fun movie. But had it not been for your festival, I wouldn't have seen it, and that was one of my favorite films. I love that film because of an accident to see that before I could see yours.
It was great, wasn't it? But you make a great point. But on the flip side of it, like indie filmmakers have to pay to submit to these films, unless it's the Toronto Indie Film Festival, bless their heart for being free. But like 99% of festivals charge you a fee. And I've spent upwards of, just on Hollow Lake, I've spent upwards of $1,000 on submission fees just to submit the film.
Oh,
So I have to think about in the long run is the return on investment for my film playing at some of the and I'm not being ungrateful. I'm thrilled at any festival that accepts Hollow Lake. Like I'm not shitting on film festivals. It's just the fact that at the end of the day, is the return on investment kind of worth the expenditure? Because I'm going to tell you, competition for film festivals is fierce. I mean, it is fierce. I've already been rejected for several with Hollow Lake. Ones that I desperately wanted to get into or thought would be fun to get into or thought I had a really good chance to get into, So I can see where they're definitely a benefit, but going if I make another film, it's going to be my fifth film. So I feel like I'm comfortable enough with the fact that, in the indie horror realm, people sort of recognize my name, so they'll kind of want to see the film anyways. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
For like a first-time filmmaker, if you make a film and you're trying to get eyes on it, and the festival route is a very beneficial way to go. However, be sure you have a budget for it. That's another thing is have a budget for film festivals, especially if it's your first film and that's your plan. Budget for them. Do not email festivals asking for a waiver. You need to have considered promotional expenses involves submitting to film festivals. And yes, they've gotten expensive. I was sticker shocked when I logged on to Film Throughway and got all excited to get a Hollow Lake up there and start submitting because, God, I hadn't submitted to festivals for 2019 was the last time I was able to submit. And oh my God, fees have tripled for some of these festivals.
Wow. Oh my God.
So just budget, and be realistic. Chances are you're going to have it's not going to be an easy road to get into a festival. Like I said, keep in mind, Houston Horror Film Festival, we have 300 submissions. I'm going to have to cut that probably down to 60. So the odds aren't in your favor, but if it makes it, it's going to be great.
Well, before we move on, because I know John's got a question, I just want to get one more in for the film festival. Actually, the first time I went, I was because I had done a role on Death Bike, and they had a corner of the area, and I was signing some autographs. People have no idea who I am, but I was helping out, doing my part. And then the next year I did Meet, so I've been there twice. The layout of this thing, if you haven't been to the Houston Horror Festival, is phenomenal. They have the entire first floor of this hotel, and I don't stay in the hotel. I stay in the one across because I bring my dogs. That one doesn't allow dogs. That one, the other one does. But it is phenomenal layout. They've got huge guests. All the vendors you could want. I never have spent so much money at vendors than I did at the Houston Horror Film Festival because there was so many unique items there that I have never seen anywhere. So I just want to kudos to you because I've been to several film festivals and conventions, and it is my favorite of the bunch. It is now something I'm coming to, and I get excited to. We have a ton of them in San Antonio. Like every weekend, they have something at the mall. So I just wanted to before we moved on off of the film festivals, I wanted to say that. But I do have one suggestion. If there's one thing you could change at all, in the screening room, if you could raise that screen up another 4 feet and get it as close to the roof or the ceiling as possible, because I'm supposedly in meat and I only saw half the screen. The whole movie, and I missed myself. So I was like, crap, I must have been on the other side of the screen.
We will try. I mean, that's the logistical drawback of having a film screening room in a hotel. It's not ideal. We try to do the best we can with it, but yeah, that's a great suggestion. We want to get as big a screen as possible, but then, that's again, logistically, because it's a hotel ballroom.
Yeah. And the thing is, you're right. That sells out. There was not a seat in that room that was open for either of the two screenings. And the problem they were having, if anything, is the fact that people weren't leaving. Everybody wanted to see meat. So, there's more people trying to get in. And they're like, nobody wanted to leave. Everybody wanted to stay. So you're doing something right.
I very rarely, if you've been to the festival, you rarely see me outside the film room. I rarely get time to get out and like wander around and see everything. I'm in the film room most of the weekend, from the moment it opens till our last film, because I'm engaging with the audience. I'm doing the Q&As with the filmmakers in attendance. I'm in there to make sure nothing goes wrong with any of the films. Luckily, we haven't had that happen a lot. It has happened, but I enjoy being in the film room. That's my home. But people are always like, "Oh, I was at the festival. I didn't see you." Well, that's where I'm at most of the weekend. And I do want to address something, because again, going back to something, and then we can move on to a question. Like, I've been asked numerous times, and I'm sure it's going to come up since we're talking about Houston Horror Film Festival. Are you going to screen Hollow Lake at the Houston Horror Film Festival? My answer is no, not during the festival, because that would be super unprofessional. And so I'm just putting that out there, because you don't know how many times I've been asked this.
Yeah. It seems like it would be a natural yes, but I understand
absolutely
what you're saying.
Not, because because filmmakers pay to submit to us. And I am not going to take any time, not even 5 minutes. I'm not going to take any time away from that weekend where filmmakers paid to submit to show my film. I think that's not a good look. However, what I will say is, if you haven't seen Hollow Lake by August, I am thinking about, because I get to the festival, I get into Houston on Wednesday. I'm there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, leave Monday. What I am thinking about doing, and I'd promote it, is Thursday night before the festival starts, is having a special screening of it. So that's outside of festival hours. Anybody that's there, because there are a lot of people that come Thursday night, can come in and just watch it. But
that's cool.
Yeah, I won't do it during the festival. I just, my personal opinion, it's unprofessional.
No, that makes perfect sense. That's a great way to do it.
And so far, I like a lot of what you're saying about that, not screening your own film. I like when you say that you're talking about the championing the indie film community. I really like the fact, I forgot what I really liked. I'm old, Troy. My memory is crap, but there's something else you said that I was like, when you were talking about just if someone makes a film, I give them all the credit and kudos and respect the hell out of it. We've all sat through some real stinkers, but you know what? At least for me and Kyle, they're doing a hell of a lot more than what we are. They've got a vision and a dream. They're pursuing it and they're completing it. So
yeah, getting it completed is not an easy task. So you're going to hit bumps in the road. If you get it to the end and you cross the finish line, our hearts go out to them, and kudos to them for making something that we only talk about.
Well, exactly. And there's going to be an audience for it. Somebody's going to enjoy it, I was just speaking solely from like a festival perspective. Like, again, competition to get into a festival has gotten so fierce. So if your film, unfortunately, if your film has technical issues, that's right away gonna, set it up at the bottom. But again, there's going to be an audience for it. People are put it up on YouTube. people will find it and they'll enjoy it, there's not a lot of outlets for short films. I would say, backtracking a bit, if I were to make a short film, like if I were to make a short film, yes, I would submit to festivals because there's not an outlet
Right.
for short films. Feature films, all I've done is feature films. That's all I know. Like I said, if I made another feature film, I think I have enough connections with potential like distributors and whatnot that I could probably bypass the festival circuit and go right into distribution.
What do you
Speaking
think?
of oh, go ahead, Kyle.
No, 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 you please.
Okay. Speaking of distributors, I know that you had some issues with Mrs. Claus stirring. What kind of challenge, if you're able to talk about that, or if what do you got to say about the distribution and the issues, problems with it?
Um, I will say that the distributor for Mrs. Claus and Party Night, I'm fine with them. We
Oh,
resolved
okay.
the issue. I have they've been pretty consistent so since that whole thing. So I'm fine with them. And the distributor for Teacher Shortage, because I went with a different distributor for Teacher Shortage. Like clockwork, I get I get the royalties. That sometimes it's
Hmm.
like, it's not much, but it's something. So I will say, I mean, um, they finding a distributor. Uh, I have connections. Like I said, I probably Hollow Lake might be a little difficult to get distributed because of the content of the film. But like if I were to make Mrs. Claus 2, I guarantee you, I could have a distributor for it before it was even finished.
Hmm.
Which
So
one
what do
has
you,
been your favorite out
Huh?
of your films? Which one has been your favorite to end product as well as working on?
Okay, so I will say this is a tough question. Um, I will say like the film that I think is the best, like quality wise, is Hollow Lake by far. Like any of the technical issues you might have had with my first three films, you're not going to find in Hollow Lake. I think Hollow Lake is pretty slick, especially for the budget. Beautifully shot by Mick Kuntz, who shot Meat. And the score is phenomenal. Michael Kolbecker did this phenomenal score from scratch for it. So I think quality wise, Hollow Lake is my best film. It's going to be the most divisive film. And I knew going into like festival submissions that it was not going to be for everybody. There was a specific scene that I know is probably why it's gotten rejected.
oh, really?
Yeah. But for like fun, like a film that of mine that I'll go back and watch just for fun is Mrs. Claus, honestly. I think it's a fun film. Like I watch it and sometimes I forget that I even made this film. I just, I don't know. But I'm a sucker for a good Christmas slasher.
Yeah, Black Christmas, anyone?
Yeah, 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 yeah. But I mean, I,
Well,
I I actually watched Teacher Shortage again for the first time a couple weeks ago. I hadn't watched it for a while, and I was like, you know what? It's rough. There's some rough parts of that technical wise, but that's a fun movie as well. And I had a lot of fun working with that cast.
It's my wife's favorite.
Yeah, and I'm a teacher, so that I think it's probably my favorite script that I've written is Teacher Shortage.
what do you think now with the abundance of horror films being made, not just independently, and also it seems like, it used to be Halloween, you would get a horror movie. Now every week on Christmas Day, you get, Terrifier.
Yeah.
So there's so many of them now. And then you add in all of the crowdfunded films as well. So now the market is just ballooning. Do you think that's um, making it easier or harder because is it getting oversaturated at this point, or is this the golden age, because if you want to make a film, you now have the ability to make a film?
Yes, you do. You do. And I mean, I think that is a great point. I think there are a lot of people out there that have their little iPhones or their little digital cameras and some friends and they get together and shoot a film. And like I said, kudos to them. Um, yeah, I kind of do think that we're going to see an oversaturation of horror films. Um, a lot of indie filmmakers saw the success of Terrifier. I mean, that franchise, making over $100 million, Terrifier 2, that's phenomenal. and I think that maybe has disillusioned a lot of filmmakers that they're going to be able to do the same thing just by kind of copying that and just going over the top with like the gore and stuff that made Terrifier so popular. So you are going to get a lot of just like people making these films, but are kind of making them not because they have a passion for the story that they're trying to tell or any story at all, really. But they're making it thinking they are going to be the next big thing in indie horror. They're going to be the next Damien Leone, and the chances of that happening are slim to none. So what the result is, you are going to see tons of copycat films thrown up on Tubi. I've already seen a few of them. So yeah, I think and it's going to get to the point where it's just going to be oversaturated. And the problem is, it is then going to be more difficult for your film, or maybe actually easier for your film to get recognized if you actually put some effort and care into the product. I think you'll see those films kind of rise, to the surface. Like again, I will reference Meat by Roger. Okay. I was blown away. I've been with Roger since the whole process. Like I read his first draft of his script when it was almost like 270 pages, and I was like, "Whoa, you have to cut." And along the filming, he showed me he would send me dailies and things. I was blown away at the final product of Meat. Meat is beyond many indie films that are being pushed out there, and I think one of the things you can tell with Meat is just the passion and just love and care that Roger took with this film.
Well, the stud alone, the character,
amazing,
belongs up. I've got all the icons up there on my wall. That character would easily fit in with those because it's so iconic.
No,
when you look at that, like, oh my God, this is. I've not seen this. This is awesome.
Iconic, yes, and I think he's onto something, and I know he has Meat 2 in the works. He's just kind of waiting to see how what happens with the first film. But yeah, I mean, phenomenal. I think when people actually get a chance to see it, it's a crowd pleaser for sure. I'm so proud of him, what he was able to do with it.
So what can you tell us about Hollow Lake? What can we expect when we see this?
Okay, so Hollow Lake, if you have Meat and you have Hollow Lake, right? And it just so happened, and I was like bummed at first. I was like, oh, I don't want to do this because me and Roger are basically on the festival circuit with our films at the same time. All right. I know that we have submitted to probably 99% of the same festivals. And they're two queer films. However, they cannot be more different tonally. Hollow Lake is much more dark. It's not flashy. There's no bright colors. It's not that type of film. It's very dark. It's very moody. It's very atmospheric. My whole palette for it when we were making it was like The Strangers. I want it dark. I want it moody. I want the lighting to always be kind of dark and ominous. And it's just more, it's more grounded. It's a little bit of a slow burn. Like you don't have a lot of action right away. Like the first kill in the film doesn't even happen until well into it, but you get to spend a lot of time with these characters. And again, it's a small cast. It's a cast of about 6. And it does deal with, just the plot basically is about a couple, Max and Baker, newlyweds, who are already having issues in their relationship. And what I wanted to do with Hollow Lake that I don't see a lot of gay films do, I think a lot of like mainstream gay horror films that you've seen, or maybe even films directed by other gay filmmakers, I feel like a lot of times they're afraid to show like a messy gay relationship, right? They wanna sugarcoat it and say like, oh look, gay people are perfect together. Why are we mad about them being? Hollow Lake, you have a very messy gay relationship. There's infidelity. There's lack of intimacy. There's all kinds of issues. So you have these messy characters, and I think that's just more grounded and realistic that way. A lot of the characters are just people drawn from my personal experience, but you have one of the guys, Baker, played by Santiago Sky, who's been pressuring Max into having a 3-way because he thinks it'll spice up the relationship. Max finally agrees. they end up going to a lake house for a weekend because they don't want to do it in their hometown because they know people are going to talk, people are going to recognize them if they're just picking up some random person off an app. They don't want to do. So they go to their lake house, Hollow Lake, and go ahead and pursue this illicit encounter in it. And then they invite their friends Justin and Alex afterwards, and that's Roger and Brandon Paris Sanchez, who was in Saint Drogo, Death Drop Gorgeous, and ultimately, you know, the indiscretion has dire consequences. It's a slow burn, like I said. It's but boy, people who have seen it are like it's brutal. It gets really brutal. Probably the most brutal kind of elaborate death scenes I've ever done in any film. Yeah, I mean, what I think being patient and just spending time with these characters and their relationships pays off in spades in the last 25 minutes. The last 25 minutes are just adrenaline pumping. You're going to be on the edge of your seat. It's really unlike any gay slasher film that I've ever seen, and that was kind of where I wanted to go with it. I kind of call it like a mix. I kind of call it my version of like the gay version of The Strangers.
Okay.
Okay.
And that was
All
always
right.
that was always my vision for the film. And I knew it was going to be divisive. I talked about there's one scene in it that I really think is probably turning people off. But I refused to budge on it. And I'll just tell you, it's a sex scene. It's a three-way sex scene. And it goes on for almost 10 minutes.
Wow.
To the point where, yeah, you're checking your watch and like, but I wanted it to be that. I wanted it to be uncomfortable because the characters are uncomfortable in the situation. And I as a gay man have had to sit through several long straight sex scenes. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna make the straights uncomfortable. But that's not the point of it. And I was told like by a couple different people, like it is the most like well handled, best crafted scene in the entire film. Like you can really tell that you took a lot of time. It's not sleazy. It's not, you know, porny. It's very, when you see it, you'll know what I'm talking about. And I modeled it after the sex scene actually in Don't Look Now with Donald Sutherland and Julie Christie.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
All right. Okay. Well, I think anything where you get to know the characters before they start getting killed off is good to me because I'm
Yeah.
there's been too many where, you know, we're just killing people and I don't care who they are, or in some like film I just saw last week, the characters are so freaking annoying. I'm like, you know what? I don't care if they get killed or not. It doesn't matter to me. So yeah, as long as there's some emotional attachment to who they are, that I'll take over anything because
Well,
I just want to care about what's going on in the movie. Otherwise, it's just another slasher. You know, like, okay, I've seen this 16 times in the last 2 months.
I hope you care about some of the characters. They are, you know, some of them can be tough to warm up to because of their, you know, harsh kind of bitter personalities. But that's, you know, there's a line in the movie, and I think that, you know, people maybe also that aren't really, I don't know. I think I think some like, you know, straight woman social justice warrior, yeah, and I'm being very pointed here, goes back to the issue I had with the film festival that I submitted to, that I posted about on Facebook. I think you have some like white straight savior woman who watches the film and thinks, "Oh my God, this is so typical. Oh, he's painting gays in a bad light." Honey, stereotypes are stereotypes for a reason. That is a line in the film. Like a character has that line in Hollow Lake. They exist for a reason, especially in the gay community. And so, if you get uncomfortable with some of these characters and what they say and how they act, and you're a gay man, well, maybe you should look in the mirror. I don't know what to tell you, because I know a lot of gay men in my life that are like these characters, and it was important for me to make them real. I'm not trying to sugarcoat the gay lifestyle or gay relationships at all. I wanted to paint it in like, this is how it is. This is how a lot of gay men are, you know, let's admit it. It might not
Yeah.
be what you want to see, you know, it might make you mad. It might make you go, ooh, but this is how a lot of gay men are.
Well, you also have to look at the fact that, I mean, for the longest time, they wouldn't put, gay relationships on TV or in the movies at all. And and then when they did, everything was exaggerated and it was for a punchline or something, and you're like, okay. So now I think that, like you're saying, we're finally getting into more realistic, and people are like, well, this can't be right. I'm like, well, this is probably the way it's been the entire time. It's just that's not what we were shown. And I remember when I went to see Meat, it might have been you. I don't know. I think you introduced it. And it was like, okay, just be aware that there's going to be stuff in the beginning, it's triggered. And I'm like, all right, here we go. Because I'm a straight man, I'm like, all right, let's see what we got here. And to me, it didn't bother me at all. I'm like, okay, this is something I have not seen, and it's done in a very well way. And again, you're right. This movie was produced very well. I mean, the sounds, the visuals. It took a long time to get made, but you feel like this was done right.
Yeah.
And so that was something I'm like, okay, I don't care. This isn't how I live my life. But why, I don't also walk around killing people. So, and I don't have a problem with that. I don't live in space, so I can watch a space movie. I don't, that's what movies are for, to take you to new places. So yeah, I keep thinking we're at a place in society that for some reason we keep trying to back away from. And I don't understand that, but here we are.
Yeah. It was, like I said, I'm a big fan of a lot of queer slasher films. Hellbent, I think, is great. There wasn't a lot of them, but now it seems to be like there's more being pumped out. Queer themed slasher films being pumped out. Queer themed horror films being pumped out, which is fabulous. And like I said, I just wanted to do something a little bit different with Hollow Lake, because most of the gay horror films that I've seen really play up like the bright colors, the bright color palette, that sort of thing. And I just wanted it to be more dark and emotional. So we'll see. I thought it would make it, stand out. And like I said, it's premiering in about a month. So hopefully the audience in Toronto there digs it. And there's still several other festivals that I'm waiting to hear from. So hopefully it'll resonate with, a couple more, because I would like people to see the film. And then, after the festival run is done, then I'm going to look into, like I said, distribution. This may be a film that I really, really explore self-distribution, because I'm afraid a distributor will want to cut things out of the film, and I absolutely will refuse to have that done. So this may be a film that I just go, oh, you know what? You want to buy Hollow Lake? Here it is on the website. Buy it, from me, and go that route, because like I said, I don't want it cut. Like everything in Hollow Lake, every scene, every shot was very intentional. And I'm not cutting anything out of it.
Is there like any Fathom events opportunities? Because I know Fathom events will show movies that I was actually in an independent film that ended up being released as a Fathom event, and it did so well that theaters picked it up for a week.
Oh, wow.
Beyond that, so we were kind of shocked. I think fewer people went when it was open for a whole week than it did that night as the Fathom event, but still it got exposure. Is that something you've ever explored or looked into?
No, I don't even know. Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to look into that for sure.
Yeah, Fathom event. It's around. It's like a company that works with theaters. I know that they do it at the Regal Cinemas here. I think they do it some other cinemas around the country, but they'll do a lot of classic movies. They'll bring back classic movies and say, okay, it's the 40th anniversary of this or the 50th anniversary of this, or here's an independent film that you may not have seen. And sometimes it could be a documentary. It's just bizarre, different things that you wouldn't normally get an opportunity to see. And then they bring it to the theater, and it costs it costs more, actually. It's like $22 for a ticket, but it's been interesting enough. Sometimes they've even brought Doctor Who episodes. And they're like, wow. We're bringing back 2 classic Doctor Who episodes. So it might be an opportunity for something like that to get a little exposure.
Yeah, I'm going to check into that. Yeah, that would be cool. I know that I'm from Iowa originally, and I know University of Iowa. I graduated from University of Iowa, and I know there's a event called like Late Night at the Grindhouse that goes on at one of their independent theaters there, and they actually played Mrs. Claus a couple years back, which was super cool during like their Christmas slasher block. I thought about reaching out to them, but again, the content of Holiday could be, like I said, might make people a little nervous to show it, but it is what it is. We'll see.
I say go for it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, absolutely.
People need to be shooken up a little bit.
And I want people to see the film. I want people to see the film because I think I think it is my best film. I think the acting is extremely top notch. And yeah, it's like I said, it's a fun film. It gets the adrenaline pump in the last 25 minutes or so is just insane. Just like I said, I can't wait for people to see it. So I hope it resonates with some more festivals. I know it hasn't resonated with some, but I hope there are some in the future here coming up that it does. I know it will be playing at some more festivals. I just can't announce them yet, but so I'm thrilled about that as well. It has gotten accepted into a couple more festivals. I just can't say yet because it was an early acceptance, which is always great because that means they like the film and they're like, hey, we want this now. We're letting you know, right?
Very cool. Very cool.
I personally am really excited to see it. I've loved all of your other movies. I just watched Party Night the other night, just in the anticipation of because I haven't seen Party Night in a while. But I'm really excited for Hollow Lake, even more so now because it sounds like it's a lot more character driven. So I'm really interested. It almost sounds like it's a growth, so to speak, from slasher to something deeper,
It is much deeper. Yeah, this is definitely not just a, 80s inspired slasher film. All my other films were definitely 80s inspired slasher films. This one definitely has a more a deeper like purpose to it. Like there's a lot that the movie I think is also trying to say about like, current climate and things like that. So I do think it is, while the movie is brutal, and when I say it's brutal, it's not just a throwaway slasher flick,
Yeah, it sounds more like a drama with horror undertones.
Well, yeah, but hey, make no mistake, when the horror picks up, I mean, things get bloody and you're going to be wincing. I guarantee you there's a couple scenes that are going to make you wince and clench your legs. But yeah, I can't wait for people to see. I'm so excited. April 11th in Toronto. I will actually be there. I'm flying there for the film. Roger's going to be there, and it's going to be so fun to have our films play back to back. That's going to be, that's phenomenal. I would never have imagined that, but we're both so thrilled. So thrilled.
Well, we both wish you huge luck and success with that. That should be great. We'll put links to how you can buy tickets to the festival in the description of the video.
And if Hollow Lake sounds interesting to you, yeah, definitely follow us on Instagram, Hollow Lake Movie, or join the Facebook group, Hollow Lake the Movie. Because like I said, there are going to be a couple more announcements, hopefully more than a couple more, as far as where it's going to be screening. And I feel bad because like Roger's promotion for Meat has been phenomenal. You guys know that. You've seen everything he does for it. And for Hollow Lake, I've been like, there's not much I can do because I don't want to spoil it. Like, right. That's the thing is like, I don't want to spoil Hollow Lake yet. Like maybe after the first couple screenings, I'll go ahead and we'll cut a proper trailer. But let me tell you, we agonized over creating the short little 1 minute teaser trailer that we have now, because it's like, what can we show without spoiling it? I don't want it to be spoiled so soon without people seeing it. So that's been an issue. That's why there hasn't been a lot of stuff out there with Hollow Lake, because I don't want to spoil it.
Right.
All right.
And then anything horror wise that I will show with Hollow Lake will spoil the movie.
Well, we'll do the best when we have the opportunity to see it. We'll try to promote it as much as we can for you. You've got Dark Knight of the podcast.
Yes.
When's that air?
We generally try to do an episode once a week. Sometimes life gets in the way. Like our last episode was Return to Sleepaway Camp. And that was a week ago, I think. And we are recording tomorrow. Our next episode should be out on Friday. So we try to be consistent. There may be I try to get them out on Fridays. There may be, like I said, a week where we skip because life happens. Roger's schedule, my schedule, we can't coordinate it. We work totally different shifts, so it's really hard. But generally Fridays. But hey, you have almost 200 episodes to dive into if you've never listened to it. So you'll have plenty of content. I mean, we're on episode 187.
Oh,
So
very
And they
good.
have a Patreon that
We have
has
a
bonus
Patreon.
content.
yes, that we're trying to get amped back up. The we again time it's Roger changed shifts maybe about 6 months ago in his job, and so it's been really hard to record because he's your time zone, so he's 3 hours ahead of me, and he doesn't get off work till like really late, and then it's been really difficult, but we've been trying to keep it up, and I'll hop on the Patreon by myself and do something like I did my Scream 7 reaction a couple days ago. I know he's going to do his, and we're going to get on and do our kind of talk about Scream 7 together, so that'll be fun. But yeah,
Yeah, there's no rhyme or reason to ours. We don't know what we're doing. An episode could drop any day. It could be 20 minutes long. It could be 2 hours long. We don't know. Tell us what guests you have scheduled so far for Houston
oh gosh, you know what?
that you can announce.
That's a great question. I've been so immersed, like I said, in the film festival, trying to watch all of the films that I've been paying attention because, like I said, Tony books the guests. And don't do this to me. Let me see. It is. Oh, here it is. It's of course going to. So we have, let's see, who do we have? We have the Soska sisters, which I love. See No Evil 2. They're the directors of that. We have Dana Kimmel, Adrian King, Amy Steele. We have like a little Friday the 13th Final Girl reunion. Kimberly Beck, who is Friday the 13th Part 4. Henry Winkler will be there. Fonz himself was going to be
Oh my God.
Marley Shelton, who we all know and love as Deputy Judy Hicks from Scream 4 and 5, will be there. Her lemon squares taste like ass. We all know that as well. We have, oh my God, Rose McGowan will be there. Tina Romero will be there. I know I just mentioned her, kind of not in the most positive, but we love her as well. Ethan Suplee, Jamie Presley, Juliette Lewis. I mean, we have our lineup is like stacked, and I know he's not even done announcing.
Yeah, I was going to say it's only, March, so yeah, it's going to be big, it's going to be huge, and it's going to be filled. It is absolutely crazy there.
Well,
but it's always a good time. So
it's a great
you guys
time. I feel like at some point here soon we're gonna outgrow the venue, but the problem is there's really no other venues to go to. I think Tony said there's like one hotel that's bigger, which is the Marriott downtown. But the problem with that would just cause a lot of headache for attendees because you have to pay to park and blah, 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 blah. So I know we're trying to hold out and staying in this venue as long as possible, but I'm sure we'll have to.
You should spill into the one that I'm in and then just have it in two parts because you can walk between the two and
Right. Yeah.
these guests are over here, the films are over here, it'll work.
That could work.
So,
We have got some homework for you guys, some travel plans for you to make. We want you to go to the Houston Horror Film Fest. We want you to get a plane ticket up to Canada. We want you to sit down and watch these three movies that are directed by our guest tonight, Troy Escamilla. That's Teacher Shortage, Party Night, and Mrs. Claus. All three of those are available on Tubi.
For
Correct?
free.
for free of charge.
And if you watch them, I get like 2 cents. So there you go.
Ooh.
Oh my God.
Does Tubi have a repeat option?
It might. I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. I'll put them on randomly and just let them play, and I'm doing laundry or something. Hey, 2 cents is 2 cents. Hey,
It is. It's
Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Troy. It has been a real pleasure.
It's been great. Thank you.
it's
Thank
so
you.
nice to meet you, sir.
You too. And if you're at the Houston Horror Film Festival, come in the film room and see me. And actually, yeah, it's gonna be here before we know it. August is like creeping up real fast.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. But thank you guys for having me out. It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. We want
we
to
are-
thank Troy. I'm gonna let Kyle take us out because he is so much better as the outro than I am. He's the professional side of it. I'm the shit sloppy side of it.
That's
Troy,
right.
thanks
You've
again.
been listening to Attack of the Spotlight right here on KKK. Well, I should have said KKK. That doesn't sound.
Whoa.
WKR, whatever. No, that's wrong. And I've already screwed it up. But anyway, make sure you follow us on our link tree. That's linktr.ee/Attack of the Spotlight, and on all the socials at Attack of the Spotlight. You can watch us on YouTube and Facebook and hear us on all of your favorite podcast services. Again, one more round of applause to Troy. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Make sure you tune into their podcast as well. Until then, we've got a couple more guests coming up that you're going to be excited about that we're not going to talk about just in case it falls through. We don't want it to fall through.
Right.
But our next episode, we're going to talk about crowdfunding, and we're going to talk about the films that we personally have crowdfunded and what we got out of it, because sometimes there's a little drama behind the scenes of what's going on. We're going to be upfront and honest with you. We're going to tell you how long it took, what we got, and what to expect, so you're not over expecting when you're putting your cash down. But we do want you to take part in these films. For John Horton, I'm Kyle Pearson, and we'll catch you again on Attack of the Spotlight. Thank you for joining us.
Bye. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Max, what do you do to the cars? What do you do to the fucking cars, Max? Go! The only thing better than fucking this kid.
That was the best I ever had.